Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial. I'm going to demonstrate a few techniques to help you out with my new pattern for Ripple and Linen Placemats, available on loveapplecrafts.com, along with its sister pattern for Honeycomb Ripple Placemats, which is in Tunisian crochet, coming soon. Both of these patterns will be free for about a month, and then they will revert to paid patterns. So if you're interested, grab them via the link in the description. As usual for my oval placemats, we're going to start with a foundation chain, 31 chains exactly this time. Once you get to the end of that, as usual again, identify the back bumps of the chain. And we're going to single crochet 4 times into the second back bump from the hook to create our first semicircle end. So just make sure that you single crochet 4 times into that back bump, so into the same space. Once you finish that, you're simply going to single crochet 28 times, once into each of the remaining back bumps until the last one. Here we are at the end. I've done it 28 times. Now you're going to single crochet 4 times into that last back bump that remains. This space tends to sort of start to gape open a bit on you. The yarn tail and the slip knot kind of get in your way, but just make sure you single crochet 4 times into that space. And you'll find that that space sort of tightens and shrinks up as you go, or you can sew it closed with the yarn tail at the end. Now that we're looking at the other side of the chain, because we worked into the back bumps the first time around, we now have the 2 loops of the chain to work under. So starting in the first one after the semicircle, just work a single crochet under both of those loops this time. And do that 28 times, and that should bring you to the end. So again, insert the hook under both loops of the chain along the other side and work a single crochet 28 times. So here we are at the end of that, and you can just see that the last one is snugged right up against that first semicircle that we created, so you know you're at the end of the round. So here is what your work looks like so far. It's this long sort of noodly structure with a bit of a rounded edge on each end. So going into round 2, you should be able to identify the 4 single crochets that constitute that first semicircle. There they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. So take a minute to identify all 4, and now we're going to start laying the foundation for linen stitch by working a chain 1 between each single crochet. I should have started with a chain 1 there. That's what the pattern says. So do what the pattern says and not what I did there. That's an error. But basically you're going to chain 1, work a single crochet into the first semicircle stitch, chain 1 again, and work a single crochet into the next semicircle stitch. And you're going to do that, repeat a total of 4 times to bring you around to the other straight side of the placemat. Now we're going to start working in sort of the first row of linen stitch, which means we're going to skip a stitch and work the single crochet into the next one and then chain 1. And keep repeating that 14 times. So skip a stitch and work a single crochet into the next stitch, chain 1. Skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1. And here we are at the end. I'll work the 14th one, single crochet and chain 1. So we're going to work the stitches on the other semicircle end the same way. So simply work linen stitches without skipping a stitch. Single crochet, chain 1 4 times into each stitch. Finally, we're going to work the straight side of the placemat again the same way as the other side. Skip a stitch between your single crochet chain 1 units, a total of 14 times, which should bring you to the end of this round. And that is basically how you start an oval in linen stitch. It's exactly the same as my previous pattern for linen stitch placemats. Once you've done this 14 times, that should bring you to the end of this round. And I do recommend placing a marker on the single crochet rather than on the chain, just so that it's easier to keep track of where it is. Next, you're going to work a row of linen stitch followed by an increase round, and increasing in linen stitch is very easy. I just have you work 2 linen stitches into the next chain 1 space instead of 1. So basically single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet, chain 1 again, all into the same chain 1 space. So the rest of that round is pretty straightforward. I'm going to skip to the end and just show you quickly how to use the marker. So here you can see on this round I've landed just before the marker. So Don't move the marker at that point. After the next round, you'll see that you land directly above the marker, and that's because every second round of linen stitch is offset. So only move the marker when you land directly above so that the marker goes up in a straight line, which is different than the way I instruct use of the marker in my other linen stitch pattern. So with those techniques in hand, now I'll show you the ripple stitch section, which consists of long double crochets in fan shapes. A long double crochet is simply a double crochet created by pulling the loop up extra long. For this project, I pull it up to around 1.2 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch. It doesn't have to be exact, don't get the ruler out. Just pull it up slightly longer than you would for a regular double crochet. Then finish the double crochet as usual by yarning over and pulling through 2 loops, and doing that twice. Going back to our project, make sure you end the last row on a single crochet, not a chain one, and this starts the ripple section. Yarn over as you would for a normal double crochet. Skip 1 chain 1 space, and then work a long double into the next chain 1 space. So again, pull it up long. You could do it even a bit longer than I'm doing here. Then work a second long double crochet into the same chain 1 space again. Again, pulling that first loop up to the same height as the previous one approximately. And you keep repeating this long double crochet until you've worked a total of 7 into that same chain 1 space, and this creates a 7 long double crochet fan. My long doubles tend to get a little bit longer as I work through the fan. I don't know why, but I don't find it's noticeable in the finished work. I definitely pull that last loop up a little longer than the first one, but it shouldn't matter too much. So once you've finished the 7 long doubles, skip another chain 1 space, so skip the next chain 1 space and then work a single crochet into the following chain 1 space, and that sort of anchors the fan on the other end. Now I'm going to demonstrate a 9 long double crochet fan, so again, yarn over, skip just 1 chain 1 space and work into the next one, and pulling up to around the same height, work your long double crochets all into that next chain 1 space, but this time work 9 instead of 7. So follow the pattern around, working either 9 or 7 long double crochet fans as indicated. Once we get to the end of the round, we've worked the last fan, we need to attach it to the first single crochet using an invisible slip stitch. This is a brilliant way to create invisible seamless joins in the round, and I've attached the video that taught me this technique in the description. Start by removing the hook from the working loop, pulling it out a bit so it doesn't unravel. Then place the hook over the top of the working yarn, not under, and into the first single crochet, which is actually the last single crochet of the previous round, but it's at the corner of that first fan. Insert the hook from back to front, so very much backwards. Then you're going to just grab that working loop that we pulled extra big, put it back on the hook, and pull it through that stitch from front to back. So pull it a bit tight so that it doesn't fall off, and just pull it through. Now that gives us a loop that we can use to build up a new stitch. I call this first stitch of the round the first long double crochet in the pattern. So pull the current loop up to a height slightly taller than you would for a normal long double crochet. Hold the loop firmly against the hook with your finger and swing the hook around and behind the loop as if you're creating a yarn over using that loop. Then, still holding your finger firm, insert the hook into the stitch that this current loop was coming out of. So the stitch at the base of that loop. If you'll recall, it is a single crochet. And you're going to insert it right into the center of that single crochet between the legs and pull up a loop to around the height of a long double crochet. Yarn over and pull through 3 loops on the hook, and then finish it off by yarning over and pulling through 2 in the usual way. Now this part is optional, but the first time you do it, you might want to just grab a marker and place it on the 2 loops that are sort of wrapped around the current loop, because that's what you're going to use to create your next slip stitch join. So if you can see them there, 2 loops kind of wrapping around, forming part of the chain at the top of the stitches, and just grab those 2. They can become a little hard to find at the end of the round, and place a marker on them. It's like a V. the next round you're going to work is fairly straightforward, and you're just going to insert 7 long double crochet fans into the spaces between the existing ones. We've started with 1 long double here, so we're going to complete half of a 7 long double crochet fan into the same single crochet by working 3 more long double crochets into that same space. And that marker is kind of getting in the way a little bit. But basically just work 3 long double crochets into the same space that you worked that special first long double crochet. And there's what it looks like. It's sort of half of a 7 long double crochet fan. We're going to anchor that down by working into the apex. So work a single crochet into the 4th stitch of the next 7 long double crochet fan from the round before. So there is the 4th stitch. Make sure you count them correctly the first time, and then you should be able to eyeball where the apex is on the subsequent ones. Work a single crochet. Then I just want to show you, there is where you want to work into for your single crochets in all of these types of rounds. Work between the legs of the single crochet. It just stabilizes the fan a little bit better. So that's the single crochet that's between 2 fans. We're going to work 7 long double crochets into it, working between the legs, sort of deeper into the single crochet. It's actually where you would work for waistcoat stitch if you've ever done that before. So there's that 7 long double crochet fan completed. Now we're encountering a 9 long double crochet fan from the round before. So here we have to chain 1 before we work the apex single crochet, which is worked into the 5th stitch of the 9 long double crochet fans. So we chained 1, work a single crochet into the apex, chain 1 again, and then work another 7 long double crochet fan between the legs of the next single crochet. So it seems confusing. All of it is explained in the pattern, but basically whenever you encounter a 9 long double crochet fan, because they're larger, you need to work a chain 1 on either side of that apex single crochet. So here we are at the end. We're going to complete that first half fan by working 3 long double crochets into the exact same space between the legs of that single crochet that we worked the first long double crochet of the round in those first 3 long doubles. So there's the first one, working another long double crochet into that same space. It looks a little bit weird, but it does look okay in the finished product. There's the third one. Now we're going to do another invisible join, so remove the hook from the active loop, pull it up big, and here's where the marker helps us, because it helps identify that nice V created by those 2 loops that we placed the marker on, and those are the loops that we're going to slip stitch to. So take the marker off, just pinch those 2 loops between your fingers, again placing the hook over the working yarn, not under, and insert into those 2 loops of that stitch from back to front. Put that loose loop back on the hook and pull it a little tight so that you can pull it through that stitch and then pull it tight. Now the first single crochet is worked simply by inserting the hook into that same stitch that the loops are coming out of and pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, as you would for a normal single crochet. That's all I wanted to show you for this pattern. I think it makes a beautiful textured placemat with a nice smooth edge. I hope this helped. Thank you for watching.